Joining us today on VIP TV, well, if you was around boxing in the 90s, you'll know this guy, former British, European and WBU light middleweight champion, as that's what we knew that weight as then. It's now super welterweight. Wayne Alexander. Wayne, thanks for joining us today.
Hello, Steve. Thank you for having me. Yeah. How are you?
I'm good, my friend. I'm good. Just looking back on your career, how do you assess it? How proud of you of what you did in your career?
Overall, I am proud. I say to people that my dream was to become a champion and to be noted as a good fighter, and for people to speak about in years to come when I've retired. But also, I believe I could have and should have achieved more. But I think most sportsmen, most fighters, when they retire, they have certain regrets, don't they? Most fighters say they could have done better. So I suppose I've got to appreciate what I did do, but I think deep down in my heart, I know I should have done better.
Because when you turned professional in 1995, there was a lot of publicity about you, and I remember I got introduced to you very. I was living in Manchester then, so I weren't on the amateur scene in London, and Steve Bunce introduced me to you for the first time at York Hall, I think, before you went pro. And it was then the comparisons with Nigel Benn were coming out, because you were sparking everyone in amateurs in London, weren't you? And you weren't just, stopping them. You were knocking people's spark out, weren't you, in the amateurs, with head guards on some of them.
Yeah, you're right. I won the ABAs in 95. 5 fights, 5 knockouts, beating 2 ABA champions on the way. Tim Taylor and Chris Bessie, both good knockouts. So, I was touted from a young age. Yeah.
So just look back at some of the highlights of your career. That 24-3 career, and let's talk about the fight, Pete. Was the anniversary of, I think, recently, your fight with Paul Samuels in 2000.
Yeah, boxing news called that the British Hagler-Hearns. Listen, without doubt, Paul Samuels is the hardest hitter I've ever faced. He had me going in every round. In the 3 rounds we fought, I was hurt in every round. We were wearing 8-ounce gloves. Back in 2000, light middleweights could wear 8-ounce gloves. So, being hit by Paul Samuels with 8-ounce gloves was like being hit by rocks. I remember being hurt. I think in the second round, I was out on my feet. The saying when they say you're out on your feet. I was literally out on my feet, and one more shot, I would have been knocked out. That is how hard he hit me. I just felt one more shot, boom, that would have been it. But luckily enough, he didn't hit me again for another few seconds. So, I recovered. But yeah, Paul Samuels was without doubt the hardest was the hardest hit I've faced. Winning the Lonzo belt, was a dream come true. That was my dream as a kid. That is most fighters, or I'd say all British guys who turn pro, that's their dream, to win the British title. So, yeah, it was up there in my top 2 or 3 greatest boxing nights ever.
Yeah, and then when you did get that world title chance against Harry Simon, it was at 24 hours' notice, wasn't it? When was it Robert Allen didn't make the fight, pulled out?
That's it. He couldn't make the weight, I think. Robert Allen, that was it. Yeah, I got a call from Ernie Fossey the day before. I was just out and about with my mates. A mate of mine just going to see another mate of mine, and I got a phone call from Ernie. Don't want to fight Harry Simon. I thought he was joking at first. Honestly, I thought he was having a laugh. And I said to him, how much? How much? And it may be an offer. I said, no, mate, I want more than that. So put the phone down. He called me again. Maybe another offer. I said, you know what, I want more than that. Put the phone down again. And I think he must have made a few more calls to other fighters, but it was me they wanted, because at the time I was #1 in Britain. And I could have, given Harry a good fight, which I did. So anyway, he called me again and we agreed on a deal. And as you say, the rest is history.
Yeah. How did you lose the weight in that time to get down to 154? I mean, I'm not saying you would have been madly overweight, but
Yeah.
to do that in 24, 48 hours to get down to the weight.
I was around the weight at the time. I was in training for a British title defence in a couple of weeks' time. So I was around my fighting weight. I was in training, so I lost a few pounds over 24 hours and made the weight.
Yeah, and one other thing I want to talk about, because at the time people were sort of writing you off because you'd lost to Delroy Mellis when you fought Takaloo. It's a fight that it seems to crop up that a week doesn't come by before you don't see someone put it on Twitter, the knockout. Well, how satisfying was that win, given that you'd lost to Mellis a couple fights earlier? I think it was Delroy Mellis, and you'll correct me if I'm wrong. And then you come back with that win.
Yeah, I mean, the fight against Takaloo was very, very personal. You know, you probably know the history of us, but I'll explain to you again. I turned pro with Jimmy Tibbs in '95, and Takaloo came along in '97. So at the time, I was touted, I was a prospect, and Takaloo was the same weight as me. But I was the one who was spoken about as going to be a champion. And whenever we sparred, Takaloo he'd put it on me like we were fighting for real. So I'd have to be on guard whenever we fought. It'd be like a real fight, you know what I mean? And one day I came in the gym, and Jimmy said, "Do you want to spar with Takaloo?" No, Jimmy said, "Spar with Takaloo." I said, "No, Jimmy, I'm not in the mood today. I don't really want to spar." Jimmy goes, "Look, get in there and spar with him. Give him a couple of rounds." You know what I mean? So I said, "All right then." Reluctantly, got the gloves on, put my gear on, and got in the ring. The bell sounded. Takaloo jumped at me, bang, hit me right hand, decked me. Within 5-10 seconds, put me on the floor. Jimmy looked at me and goes, "Get up." So I got up. We carried on sparring. We done about another 2 or 3 rounds. I held my own. It was a good spar, and we left it as that. And little do I know that Takaloo went around, told all his mates, told all the guys in the circuit that he knocked me out in sparring, he knocked me clean out. I had to be carried out of the ring. When I be OTT, told everybody that he beat me, and all he wants to do is get a fight with me, and blah blah blah. And Takaloo lost. I think his following fight, he lost. He got beat by Jerry Callegue, the first guy to beat him. Anyway, I know. Sorry.
Yeah, I can't remember. I can remember his career fighting, Arnie Farnell and stuff. And your fight, was it Joey who beat him, the Nottingham guy?
I think it's Joey who beat him first. But anyway, after his first defeat, he left Jimmy. Said that he weren't being trained properly by Jimmy, and that I was the one that was Jimmy's favourite, and he wasn't getting the treatment that he deserved. So that was his excuse for getting beat. And he carried on saying that he knocked me out, he beat me, and he won a few fights, kept on winning. He progressed, and obviously I was always ahead of him, so I was the man to beat. So he kept going on about knocking me out years previously, and the fight happened eventually, and you know what happened, don't you?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, I mean, how satisfying was that win? Because you weren't that. You just said a bit of, you gave a bit. You gave an insight into yourself then, like you did without saying it, that sparring, and he's trying to knock you out every sparring session. So you give an insight to what you was about as a boxer. And so how much satisfaction did that give you, that win?
Yeah, going back to sparring, I wasn't a very good gym fighter. You get fighters who are good gym fighters. In the gym, they look $1 million. Takaloo looked very good in the gym. I admit that. He looked better than me in the gym. I never looked great in the gym. But when it mattered on the fight night, I stepped up a level. You know what I mean? When it really mattered, that's when I stepped up. Where Takaloo, for example, never fought as well for real as he did in the gym. So, yeah, so really and truly, it only matters when you fight for real, doesn't it? Yeah. Gym sparring is gym sparring, isn't it?
Yeah. And another fight you mentioned on social media this week What was it like that night, you know, late at night, getting in the ring at the NEM before Calzaghe Lacey as the chief support when you beat Thomas McDonough, you know, the local fighter, you was the away fighter. You know, you didn't have too much support that night because Arthur Manchester was in there.
Yeah, it was great to be on that build, full stop. I mean, you know, you had 20-odd thousand people there, you know, it was a great experience for me, you know. I wish I'd watched Joe fight live myself, but it was a privilege to be on his undercard, you know, live on ITV. I couldn't ask for more, and to get a win against an unbeaten fighter in his hometown, you know, being the underdog, that was one of my greatest nights. Also, like I said, I never got the credit I deserved. Thomas was touted as a future star, and you know, I took his own, as they say.
Yeah. So if you didn't get to watch show, where was you when he fought Lacey? You must have. Where was you in the arena there, or had you gone back to the hotel? Or
Sorry, say that again.
Where was you? Did you watch the Lacey fight in the flesh from the arena afterwards? You said
I was in the changing room for most of the time, getting myself, you know, ready, getting myself sorted out. You know what I mean? Getting dressed. So I didn't watch the first 4 or 5 rounds. You know what I mean?
Yeah, fantastic. And then just, you know, things maybe that never happened. I was talking to Steve Wood this morning, explaining, you know, I was going to speak to you, and he was mentioning one of the great fights that got away around 2004 was you against Jamie Moore. And maybe how good would that fight have been around that time? You know what? Because Jamie, you know, I think when you give up the British title, he took over, beat Michael Jones, I believe. And how good would that fight have been around 2004, 2005, maybe?
That would have been a great fight. Jamie Moore, you know, I had a lot of respect for him. He won the vacant title when I vacated it, and when I won the WBU, we did offer a fight against Jamie, and Jamie wasn't happy with the deal with the purse. So I don't want to say he bottled it, but you know, we did offer Jamie Moore a fight in 2005.
Yeah,
and they turned it down.
Another thing we were talking about this morning was, you know, when you weren't about and Jamie Moore, you were both in the same conversation. Where would fighters like you have been in? But look, maybe it's not great. So, you know, if only I was about now. I know you're not that sort of guy, but someone like you and Jamie Moore in the days of social media, what would you have been, do you think, given your highlight reel, given, you know, you stepped in at 24 hours notice for a world title fight, the Samuels fight, the Takaloo knockout. You know, in the day, if social media was about then, how much bigger do you think your profile would have been?
It would have been massive. It would have been massive. I would have been a star. You know.
Yeah, we were social media. Yeah, I said this to Steve Wood this morning. You can ask Steve. You think I'm bullshitting you, but I was talking about this morning. Said the same thing. Go on.
So social media is the good and the bad thing. You know, I love social media, but it has made certain fighters who are not even championship material superstars. You know. So I believe the likes of me and Jamie would have been massive stars. You know, if we was around now. You know, that's what I believe. Yeah.
Yeah, but you know what? These guys who you can say, you know, I agree with you. There's fighters that don't deserve to. You know, you're not going to get involved in, you know, in verbals with them. I know that and name. I wouldn't expect you to, but you know, there are these fighters that have made their name off social media. They use that platform so well, don't they? Though, to their credit.
No, listen, mate. At the end of the day, social media can be a good thing, you know. And if I was fighting now, I would love to have social media about. You know, he has made people superstars. Got fighters money. I mean, you look at the likes of those YouTube fighters. You know, he's made them rich. So, you know, good luck to him. You know, good luck to anybody that's become a star through social media. I have no jealousy or no malice towards anyone that's made a career from social media. Yeah. It's the way of the world now, isn't it? It's the way.
Your Guinness drinking went down well on social media. The Thursday drink that went down well on social media. People want the pubs to open to see you out on a Thursday again for your pint.
Wednesday. Yeah, Wednesday. Wednesdays. I'm looking forward to hopefully April 17th, isn't it? When we can have outdoor drinking.
Yeah, so you're going to do. Hopefully, you're going to make a return to Twitter then and have your 2 pints.
Most definitely. I love the Guineas, mate. Plenty of iron. I love the iron.
Yeah. So, what is it you're up to now in life? I know you've got your daughters, and I know one of your daughters. You're with a lot of the time I see on social media. You're a granddad. How do you feel your time now?
I'm a full-time dad now. I am in care of my youngest daughter.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's lovely. Yeah,
my youngest daughter, Shania, is 9. I am a full-time. She lives with me full-time, so I'm a full-time daddy now. So she starts back in school on Monday. So she's had a couple of months off. I've been doing the homeschooling with her, or trying to. Yeah, I'm a granddad now. Like you said, my granddaughter is 13 months now. I haven't seen her much over the past couple of months. I maybe seen her over the weekend. Her mum is 18 now. So yeah, life's good. My parents are still about. They're living in South London now. I'm in West London. So life is good. Also, I do security, frontline security, and close protection security.
Yeah, I knew you were doing the bodyguard, didn't you? You got your certificates for bodyguard, didn't you? Not just the doors. You can do is it close protection?
CP. That's it, close protection, yeah. I've done that since March.
Is your daughter taking up all your time at the moment?
Yes, and also since the COVID in March, I haven't done much work. Since March, I ain't done much work. So hopefully the summertime I'll be able to get bits and pieces, Yeah. And also the refereeing and judging. It's not border control stuff, but it's high level, unlicensed semi-pros, they say, Queensberry League. Yeah, so I'm busy enough, Steve.
It's just one question before I let you go. So we brought this up on the channel before. Do you feel the board should do more to welcome ex-boxers? More. A lot of referees have boxed. So I'm not. But more of the more recent guys that are retired into the professional fold with the border control. It does seem a bit of a closed shop trying to get in as a referee or judge. I mean, I know of 3 fighters who have recently retired. 2 have got nowhere trying to get in as a referee, and one's going to go down that route.
You're right. I do believe judges and referees, it'd be better if they were ex-fighters. Being an ex-fighter, you know more. You got more of an insight. I think you're right. There's not enough ex-fighters that are in the judging job. So they should ask for more pros or ex-pros to become judges, I think.
Yeah. Have you had any controversies when you've been judging on Ross Minter's Queensberry shows?
Yeah, I've been with Ross for the past 7 years.
You had any controversy when you've been judging?
You know what? It's such a subjective sport. You could be at one side of the ring and give 3 rounds to 0 to the blue corner, and another guy could be on the opposite side, give 3 rounds to 0 to the red corner. So it's so subjective. The angles you're watching the fight from, but as long as you're true to yourself and you judge the fight as you see it, what can you say? That's why it's so subjective. If you really believe that the Blues won and others think the Reds won, what can you say?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Well, Wayne, you know what? It's been a brilliant catch-up with you. I've had 20 minutes of you, and it's just flown catching up on your career and what you're up to now. Thanks for talking to me, because, go back a long way with you, and it's brilliant to catch up with you, my friend.
Steve, it's been a pleasure, mate. And you keep doing what you do, mate, and keep up the good work. And hopefully I'll see you soon, or see you this year sometime anyway.
Let's hope so. When they let us out, when Boris lets us out.
Yeah.
I need a haircut anyway, so he's got to let me out soon. I look like
you need a trim, don't you, mate? Get baldy like myself.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't know yet. I'm not quite sure I could go that far yet, but I'm not far from it, mate. I'm not far from it.
I got my own clippers, mate. I just do it myself once a week. You know what I mean? Free. Yeah. Can't go wrong.
You're the king, you, mate. Old school, you, pal. Old school.
That's it, mate.
Thanks very much, Wayne.
Steve, take care. Thank you very much.
For all boxing info, news and latest interviews, amateur and pro, across the north, click and subscribe. VIP Boxing Promotions. Also, Twitter, Instagram and Facebook.